Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to have life figured out? Like they move through the chaos of the world untouched, calm, focused, and ahead of the game? Here's a brutal truth. It's not luck, not privilege, and definitely not magic. It's wisdom, practiced, disciplined, and ruthlessly honest. Intelligent people, especially those grounded in Stoic philosophy, don't just succeed because of what they do, but because of what they refuse to tolerate. They say no to the things that drain most people of peace, energy, and time. And if you're willing to understand these 10 things intelligent people stay away from, your entire mindset and your life could transform. Stay with me till the end, because the last point might just be the hardest one to accept, but also the most powerful. Thing 1, drama and gossip. Intelligent people don't waste time swimming in the shallow end of the emotional pool. Drama and gossip are distractions disguised as entertainment. They drain your energy, clutter your mind, and tie your self-worth to opinions that don't matter. Stoics teach us to focus only on what we can control. Gossip? Out of your control. Drama? Most of it isn't even about you. So why let it occupy your peace? When you engage in gossip, you lower yourself to a level that contradicts self-respect. It becomes a cycle, judging others, then fearing their judgment. Cutting this habit might feel lonely at first, but solitude is better than fake connection. Talk about ideas, growth, goals, not people. Remember, the strongest minds protect their peace like it's sacred, because it is. Thing 2, seeking constant validation. The intelligent person knows their value doesn't rise or fall based on applause. The need for constant validation is a trap, a dangerous one. It makes you a slave to other people's opinions and strips you of your authenticity. Stoicism teaches us to develop inner applause, to do the right thing even when no one is watching. Because true confidence is quiet, it's rooted in action, not attention. Social media, comparison, people-pleasing, it all feeds this hunger for external validation. But that hunger, it's never satisfied. Intelligent people realize that trying to please everyone is a fast track to pleasing no one, especially yourself. When you let go of needing approval, you step into your power. You become your own source of worth, and that's when people start respecting you. Ironically, when you stop needing it. Thing 3, toxic relationships. Nothing will derail your peace faster than clinging to people who drain you. Intelligent people are ruthless about who they allow into their inner circle, because your environment either fuels your growth or strangles it. Toxic people often wear friendly masks, manipulators, energy vampires, passive-aggressive critics. But your nervous system knows. You feel it in your gut. Stoics teach us to surround ourselves with those who challenge us to grow, not shrink. Emotional leeches? They go. No explanation needed. Walking away doesn't mean you're cold or heartless. It means you value your mental health. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is leave. Thing 4, complaining about things they can't control. Complaining feels good for a second, but it's a thief. It steals your time, energy, and ability to act. Intelligent people know this. They vent, maybe, but then they move. Stoicism is built on this one principle. Focus only on what you can control. Complaining about the weather, traffic, politics, or other people's decisions? Wasted breath. The world doesn't owe you fairness, but you owe yourself peace. And peace comes from letting go of what you can't change and doubling down on what you can. Next time you're tempted to complain, pause. Ask, is this within my control? If not, release it. Intelligent people turn complaints into clarity. Thing 5, overconsumption, news, social media, stimulation. In the modern world, silence is a superpower. Intelligent people are aware of how much junk they let into their mind. News that fuels fear, content that breeds insecurity, distractions that numb their potential. Your brain is not a dumpster, but if you treat it like one, don't be surprised when you feel anxious restless, and disconnected. Stoicism teaches us to guard our mind like a fortress, to be intentional about what we consume, because what goes in shapes what comes out. You don't need to be constantly plugged in. In fact, clarity often comes when you unplug. Intelligent people set boundaries. They read instead of scroll, reflect instead of react. They create more than they consume. Thing 6, arguing to win, not to understand. Most arguments aren't about truth, they're about ego. Intelligent people don't argue just to be right. They seek understanding, wisdom, and common ground. Stoicism reminds us that it's better to understand than to win, because winning an argument but losing your peace, that's a terrible trade. When you're secure in your beliefs, you don't need to dominate. You listen, observe, respond calmly. You choose clarity over chaos. Intelligent people ask, "What can I learn here?" instead of, "How can I crush this person?" Their power comes from restraint, not reaction. Thing 7, living in the past or future. Regret is just mental self-punishment. Anxiety is fear of a future that may never happen. Intelligent people know this, and so they live here, in the now. Stoicism is built on presence. The only thing real is this moment. You can't fix the past. You can't control the future, but you can take action now. Ruminating on mistakes won't change them. Worrying about tomorrow won't make it safer. Intelligent people take what they can from the past, a lesson, and they prepare for the future with intention. But they live now. Want peace? Be where your feet are. Thing 8, chasing perfection. Perfection is a myth, a seductive lie. Intelligent people don't chase flawless outcomes. They chase growth. They know mistakes are proof of effort, not failure. Perfectionism paralyzes. It makes you delay, doubt, and diminish yourself. Stoicism teaches us that excellence matters, but perfection? That's ego talking. It's better to be done and improving than perfect and stuck. Intelligent people focus on progress, on doing their best, adjusting, and doing it again. They'd rather learn through action than wait for perfect conditions that never come. Start messy, start scared, just start. Thing 9, comparing themselves to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. It makes you forget your path by obsessing over someone else's. Intelligent people don't measure their worth against highlight reels. They compete with who they were yesterday. Stoics believe in internal measurement. When you compare, you poison your self-esteem. You trade gratitude for insecurity. But the truth is, no one has your exact story, your exact path, or your exact purpose. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are on your path. Thing 10, ignoring their inner voice, your intuition. That quiet nudge, that gut feeling, that whisper when something feels off, is your most powerful guide. Intelligent people listen. Stoicism teaches alignment, living in harmony with your principles. That requires inner listening. When you ignore that voice, you betray yourself. When you honor it, you build self-trust. It won't always make sense. It won't always be comfortable, but it will always be true. The noise of the world will try to drown out your inner wisdom. Intelligent people turn down the noise and tune into themselves.
Ourselves up to a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. Let's shift gears now and explore a fundamental Stoic practice, gratitude. You might be wondering, how does gratitude fit into the Stoic framework? After all, Stoicism is often seen as a philosophy focused on endurance and inner strength in the face of hardship, not necessarily one that emphasizes the cultivation of warm, positive emotions. But here's the thing. The Stoics recognize that gratitude isn't just about being thankful for what we have in an emotional sense. It's about a deliberate practice of recognizing what's valuable in our lives and appreciating it with intention. For the Stoics, gratitude was a way of seeing the world with clarity, understanding that everything, whether perceived as good or bad, has value in shaping who we are and what we become. They saw it as a powerful tool for cultivating contentment and peace. Imagine for a moment that, every day, you took time to reflect on what you are grateful for. Maybe it's your health, your relationships, or even the simple fact that you have the opportunity to learn and grow. The Stoics would encourage you to start your day with a reflection on what you have, rather than what you lack. This simple practice can radically shift the way you experience the world. It helps you see abundance where others might only see scarcity, and it allows you to cultivate a sense of contentment that isn't dependent on external circumstances. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "A great mind is like a well-constructed house. The more it reflects on its own inner strength, the more it recognizes its own worth." In other words, by practicing gratitude and focusing on the things that truly matter, we begin to build a life of strength and peace. No matter what's happening around us, philosophers still debate whether gratitude should be a constant practice or something that's only useful during difficult times. Some believe that gratitude is most meaningful when we're facing challenges and adversity, as it helps us find perspective in tough situations. Others argue that gratitude should be a constant practice, one that we cultivate regularly, regardless of the circumstances. The Stoics would likely agree with the second perspective. For them, gratitude wasn't just a response to difficulty, was a mindset that they carried with them every day. They didn't wait for hardship to practice gratitude. They found things to be grateful for in the everyday moments of life. This simple practice of gratitude, when consistently applied, has the power to transform your mindset. It's easy to take things for granted when life is going smoothly, but when you actively seek out things to appreciate, whether it's the beauty of nature, the kindness of a friend, or the ability to think and reason, you begin to see the world differently. The Stoics believed that our happiness doesn't depend on the circumstances we find ourselves in, but on how we respond to those circumstances. And one of the most powerful ways to respond is by cultivating gratitude. Let's take a moment to think about how you can begin to practice gratitude in your own life. Maybe it's something small, like noticing the warmth of the sun on your face, or the sound of birds singing in the morning. Maybe it's the people in your life who bring you joy and support. The key is to start small. When you wake up in the morning, take a moment to reflect on something you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be a grand thing. It could be something as simple as being able to wake up and breathe. By practicing gratitude in this way, you begin to retrain your mind to focus on the positive, even amidst challenges. Stoic gratitude isn't about ignoring the difficulties of life, but rather about recognizing the good that exists alongside the challenges. It's about developing a mindset that sees value in every experience, whether it's a moment of joy or a moment of struggle. And when you begin to see value in all experiences, you cultivate a sense of peace and contentment that is immune to the fluctuations of external circumstances. Here's a quirky thought to consider. Did you know that modern psychology supports many of the Stoic ideas about gratitude? Research shows that people who practice gratitude regularly, whether through journaling, meditation, or simply pausing to reflect, experience lower levels of stress and depression and higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. The practice of gratitude has even been linked to improved physical health and stronger relationships. In a way, the Stoics were ahead of their time in recognizing the power of gratitude. They understood that by focusing on the positive and recognizing the value in every moment, we could cultivate a life of peace and fulfillment. Now, think about a challenging situation you're facing right now. It might be something small, like a frustrating work task, or something bigger, like a personal struggle. The Stoics would encourage you to take a step back and ask yourself, what can I be grateful for in this situation? This doesn't mean ignoring the difficulty or pretending everything is fine. It means finding something in the experience that holds value, something that you can learn from or appreciate. Even in difficult times, there are always moments of beauty or insight if we take the time to look for them. Maybe the challenge is teaching you resilience, patience, or humility. Maybe it's helping you appreciate the people in your life who support you. By shifting your focus to gratitude, you can transform even the most difficult moments into opportunities for growth. In practical terms, Stoic gratitude often looks like a daily reflection practice. The Stoics didn't wait for the big moments to reflect on what they were grateful for. They did it every day. Marcus Aurelius, for example, would spend time each day reflecting on his thoughts and actions. And he would regularly remind himself to be grateful for the opportunities he had. This simple practice of daily reflection, combined with a focus on gratitude, helped him maintain a calm and clear mind in the face of immense challenges. The Stoics didn't see gratitude as a passive emotion, but as an active practice, a way of intentionally choosing to focus on what's good, rather than what's lacking. As you continue to relax, take a moment to reflect on your own life. What are you grateful for right now? Maybe it's your health, your loved ones, or the opportunity to rest and reflect. Whatever it is, take a moment to savor that feeling of gratitude. Recognize that this simple practice can have a profound impact on your peace of mind and your ability to navigate life's challenges with grace. By focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, we create a life of abundance, not in material things, but in peace, joy, and fulfillment. As we continue our journey through Stoic wisdom, let's now explore the concept of the mind as a fortress. This idea is central to Stoic thinking and offers a powerful strategy for dealing with life's challenges. The Stoics believed that our mind is like a fortress that can either be invaded by external forces or stand strong and unmoved. Life will inevitably throw obstacles at us, difficult people, stressful situations, moments of disappointment or frustration, but the Stoics teach us that we have the power to fortify our minds and protect our inner peace. The way we approach life's challenges determines whether our mind remains secure or whether it's easily shaken. When we allow external circumstances, opinions, or events to control our emotions and reactions, we leave our mental fortress vulnerable. But when we practice Stoic principles, accepting what is outside our control, focusing on our own thoughts and actions, and responding with wisdom, we build mental resilience and protect our peace. Epictetus, one of the foremost Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple insight points to the fact that the only thing we truly have control over is our mind. Everything outside of us, the opinions of others, the events of the world, and even the people we interact with, can be like external forces trying to breach our fortress. But by strengthening our minds through self-reflection, virtue, and the cultivation of inner wisdom, we can maintain peace regardless of what happens around us. This is why the Stoics placed such emphasis on self-discipline. The more we discipline our thoughts, the stronger our fortress becomes. In practice, this means pausing before reacting, taking a moment to consider how we can respond wisely rather than impulsively, and training ourselves to remain calm and focused when life gets turbulent. It's through these moments of stillness and clarity that we fortify our minds and protect ourselves from unnecessary distress. Philosophers still debate whether it's possible to create an impenetrable fortress for the mind, or whether external forces will always find a way to infiltrate our peace. Some argue that certain situations, such as trauma or extreme stress, are too overwhelming for anyone to remain completely unshaken. Others suggest that with enough mental training and practice, we can build an unbreakable fortress that will remain strong no matter what life throws at us. The Stoic answer to this question is somewhere in between. While they acknowledge that there will be moments of hardship that test our mental resilience, they also believed that by consistently practicing Stoic principles, like focusing on what's within our control and choosing wise responses, we can build a mental fortress that makes us more resilient to life's storms. This practice doesn't mean that we'll never face hardship or emotional difficulty, but it does mean that we'll have the tools we need to navigate these challenges with grace and composure. The more we fortify our minds, the better equipped we become to handle whatever comes our way. Imagine for a moment that life is like a storm. The winds are blowing, the waves are crashing, and the rain is pouring down. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the intensity of it all. But the Stoics would encourage us to imagine ourselves not as fragile vessels tossed around by the storm, but as sturdy ships with strong foundations, able to weather the harshest weather. This sense of mental resilience isn't built overnight. It's developed through consistent practice. Every time we pause and respond wisely to life's challenges, we strengthen the walls of our mental fortress. Every time we choose to focus on what we can control, we reinforce our peace of mind. Over time, this practice makes us stronger and more resilient. One of the key aspects of building this mental fortress is learning how to detach from things that are outside of our control. It's so easy to get caught up in the dramas of the world, to become emotionally invested in things that have no bearing on our well-being. The Stoics teach us that we must learn to separate ourselves from the chaos of the world and focus on what is truly important. This doesn't mean we withdraw from the world or become indifferent to others. Suffering it means we recognize what we can and cannot control. We can't control other people's actions or the outcomes of our endeavors, but we can control our reactions to those things. By detaching ourselves from the need to control everything and everyone, we protect our mental fortress from unnecessary strain. Think about a recent event that caused you stress or frustration. What was it that bothered you the most? Was it the situation itself, or was it your reaction to the situation? More often than not, it's our interpretation and emotional response to events that cause the most distress. The Stoics would encourage us to pause and ask ourselves, what can I control in this situation? How can I respond in a way that reflects my values and virtues? By shifting our focus back to our own thoughts and actions, we regain control and fortify our minds against external stress. Here's a quirky tidbit to think about. Did you know that the practice of mindfulness in modern psychology is strikingly similar to the Stoic practice of self-control and mental fortification? Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts without judgment, to focus on the present moment, and to detach from things that are outside our control. This practice helps us strengthen our mental resilience, much like the Stoic practice of focusing on what's within our control and cultivating inner peace. It's fascinating how ancient Stoic wisdom has parallels in modern psychological practices. Just as mindfulness encourages us to notice our thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them, the Stoics taught us to observe our reactions and respond with wisdom rather than letting our emotions dictate our actions. In both cases, the goal is the same: to build a strong, resilient mind that remains steady in the face of life's challenges. Now, let's think about how you can begin to fortify your own mind. What are the things that tend to shake your peace? Are there certain triggers or patterns of thinking that cause you stress or anxiety? The Stoics would encourage you to reflect on these moments and consider how you can change your response. The more you practice responding wisely, the stronger your mental fortress becomes. Every time you pause, reflect, and choose a rational, virtuous response, you build more resilience. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, and you find yourself more at peace, even in the face of difficulty. This mental fortitude is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, and it's something that no external event can take away. As you continue to relax and reflect on these ideas, consider how you can start strengthening your own mental fortress. What would it look like to live with a sense of inner calm, regardless of what's happening around you? The Stoics would remind you that this is not only possible, it's the path to true peace. As we come to the final section of our journey together, let's explore the idea of equanimity, maintaining a steady mind through the inevitable highs and lows of life. The Stoics believed that the ability to remain calm, balanced, and rational, no matter what life throws at us, is one of the most essential virtues. Equanimity is about finding peace, not just during moments of tranquility, but also in the face of adversity. Life is full of ups and downs, moments of joy and moments of sorrow, times of success and times of failure. We can't avoid the inevitable fluctuations of life, but we can choose how we respond to them. For the Stoics, the key to achieving this inner calm was to recognize that both joy and suffering are temporary, and neither should have the power to completely disrupt our peace. It's easy to feel elated when things are going well, or to feel defeated when things take a turn for the worse. But the Stoics would remind us that neither of these emotional extremes is necessary. In fact, they would say that by cultivating a sense of inner equanimity, we free ourselves from the roller coaster of emotional highs and lows that can often make life feel overwhelming. We learn to respond to both joy and sorrow with the same calmness and clarity, rooted in the understanding that everything is part of the natural order, and that our responses are the only things we truly control. Philosophers still debate whether equanimity is something that can be maintained at all times, or whether it's an ideal that's too difficult to fully embody. Some argue that it's impossible to remain completely unshaken by life's challenges, while others believe that it's a skill that can be developed with time and practice. The Stoics would likely fall somewhere in the middle, acknowledging that while we are human and will experience emotions deeply, we can also train ourselves to approach those emotions with wisdom, detachment, and grace. It's not about suppressing our emotions or pretending we don't feel joy or sorrow. It's about responding to those emotions with perspective. Stoic practices like journaling, self-reflection, and meditation help us cultivate this ability to maintain balance. By reflecting on our thoughts and actions, we become more self-aware, and in doing so, we can more easily navigate the ups and downs of life without being overwhelmed by them. The Stoics understood that equanimity isn't something that comes easily. It's something that requires constant practice and effort. But over time, the more we cultivate this steady, balanced mindset, the more we come to realize that we don't need to be governed by our emotions. Instead, we can observe them, understand them, and respond to them with wisdom and clarity. Think about it for a moment. When you experience joy, how often do you feel like you need to hold onto that joy for as long as possible, fearing that it might slip away? And when you experience hardship or sadness, how often do you allow those feelings to consume you, wishing that they would just go away. The Stoics would encourage us to recognize that both joy and sorrow are fleeting, and that it's not our job to chase after the former or avoid the latter. Instead, we can learn to experience both with a sense of detachment, understanding that they are part of the natural rhythm of life. By acknowledging the transient nature of all emotions, we create space for equanimity. When joy comes, we can enjoy it without clinging to it. When sorrow comes, we can feel it without letting it take over our lives. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, experiencing life fully, without becoming attached to any one emotional state. Let's consider a moment in your life when you've faced a challenge, perhaps a setback, or something unexpected that threw you off course. In that moment, how did you react? Did you feel overwhelmed by frustration or disappointment? The Stoics would ask you to reflect on whether your response was grounded in reason and wisdom, or if you allowed your emotions to dictate your actions. The practice of equanimity encourages us to pause before reacting, to reflect on the situation with clarity, and to choose our response from a place of balance. Instead of being swept away by the emotional current, we learn to anchor ourselves in the steady understanding that whatever happens, we have the power to choose how we respond. Life will continue to bring challenges. This is certain, but the Stoics believed that our peace of mind doesn't have to be dependent on what's happening around us. It's within our power to remain steady, no matter the circumstances. In the face of loss, disappointment, or failure, we can still find inner peace by maintaining a sense of perspective, remembering that these moments are not permanent and that we have the strength to endure them. A quirky tidbit here: did you know that the practice of mindfulness in modern psychology aligns closely with Stoic equanimity? Mindfulness teaches us to be present with our emotions, to observe them without judgment, and to respond with clarity and calmness. This practice helps us build emotional resilience, much like the Stoic principle of equanimity. In both approaches, the goal is the same: to cultivate a steady mind that is not thrown off course by the inevitable ups and downs of life. Whether you're practicing Stoic reflection or mindfulness meditation, the key is to develop the ability to stay grounded, to observe your thoughts and emotions without becoming consumed by them, and to respond with wisdom and balance. It's fascinating how modern psychology is rediscovering ideas that the Stoics practiced thousands of years ago. Now, let's reflect on this. How would your life be different if you responded to challenges with equanimity? What if, instead of becoming overwhelmed by negative emotions, you could approach each situation with calmness, perspective, and clarity? What if, instead of chasing after joy or avoiding sorrow, you could simply allow both to come and go without clinging to them? The Stoics would argue that this is the path to true peace. Equanimity is the key to living a life that isn't dictated by the whims of external circumstances. It's about cultivating a steady, calm mind that remains unshaken, no matter what life throws your way. And the best part is, this isn't a passive practice. It's an active choice to engage with life from a place of inner strength and wisdom. The more we practice this, the more resilient we become, and the more at peace we feel with the ebb and flow of life. As you settle into this moment of stillness, reflect on how you can cultivate more equanimity in your own life. What areas of your life could benefit from more balance and perspective? How can you approach challenges with a steady mind, rather than being swept away by your emotions? The Stoics would encourage you to start with small moments of reflection, pausing before reacting, and practicing the art of observing your thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. Over time, This practice will strengthen your mental resilience, and you will find that life's highs and lows no longer have the power to disrupt your peace. End of video. Sweet dreams.